People rarely do things that solve problems, and S5 definitely solved an industry problem. Tell me how you got involved in the metal building industry and the start of S5. What motivated you to get started?
What motivated me to get started as a metal building contractor was that back in another lifetime, I came off the ranch and went to the big city to make my fortune. And I suppose that was 72 or 73, and I happened to get a job erecting pre-engineered metal buildings. I worked for various employers over the next couple of years and really felt like I could do better. I felt like I could do it better than they could, like I was smarter than my bosses were. I was a young guy and full of piss and vinegar. So I started my own company with $40 in a pickup truck. And that company evolved over a period of time to being one of the largest companies of its kind in about a 7-state area. In fact, the name of the company was 7 State Steel. We worked all over 7 states in this part of the world. And I retired from that in 1990. I quit the contracting business. And by the time I had quit the business, we had erected over 500 buildings in 36 states of the US. We had an office in New England in the mid and late 80s, as well as the one here in Colorado. And after retiring from the construction business, I got into full-time consulting work. But it wasn't so full-time. It was almost as if somebody had unplugged my phone. Where's all my consulting business? So I had a lot of tinker time, and I had a lot of chill time to think and reflect and so on. And one day I had just built this house that you see here about that time, or a little before. And I had shoveled out my driveway after one of these spring snowstorms like we're having right now. Only then it dropped a good 16, 18 inches of snow, and it blanketed all my roofs. And I had just finished shoveling that driveway over there in that area in front of my garage door. And I was leaning on my shovel, admiring my work, smoking a cigarette. I did that in those days. And whoosh, here come the snow just let loose off my garage roof and dumped tons of snow where I'd just finished shoveling it. I thought, I'm not going to live with this too long. I need to get snow guards on here. Of course, snow guards were commercially available at the time, but the quality of them was dubious, to say the least. They were, in general, plastic parts that you screwed on or glued on. If you screwed them on, they got yellow and broke after a few years. If you glued them on, the glue would fail and they'd wipe out. So I wanted something better for myself. And so I'm standing there leaning on my shovel saying, what am I going to do here? There's nothing in the market that really does the job. Of course, I'd installed lots of snow guards on lots of roofs and gotten lots of callbacks to come fix them when they failed. So I thought somebody ought to come up with a better snow guard. And then I thought, well, that somebody just well be me. I can figure this out. And so I started tinkering with a block of wood. I got the idea to put a clamp on the seam, you know. And I made the first ones. In fact, I should show them to you. I still have them. Whittled the first ones out of some blocks of wood. And as I was doing that, I amazed myself as I went along. And then finally I had one prototyped out of aluminum, and I took it to a lab and tested it for holding strength, and I couldn't believe the tenacity of that part. I mean, it just held on like nobody's business. I think we ran some tensile load tests up to several thousand pounds and couldn't make it fail. And so in the process of all that, I realized that what I had just come up with was not just a better snow guard. It was a really slick way to attach just about anything to a standing seam roof. It just happens to be that snow guards are a thing that people frequently use on metal roofs, but there are all kinds of other ancillary things that people put on roofs. And I knew from the beginning that I had invented something a lot bigger than another snow guard. And so that's how it all started.
S5 has been a leading and one of, if not the first advocate in the metal industry to embrace, promote, and support the concept of solar on metal roofing, a movement we see sweeping the industry. Your presentation at Solar Bay this past year was titled The Perfect Marriage, Solar and Metal Roofs. When did you realize this concept, and how important is solar to the metal industry?
I think solar in the future of our industry is huge. It's a natural for metal roofing. When I first became, I suppose, really aware of it, of course, I knew all the time that our parts can be used to attach solar just like they can be used to attach many other things. But what really brought it to the forefront for me was when I got a call. It was about 1995 or maybe 96. I got a call from a guy with BP Solar, the same BP as the petroleum company had a solar division. And this guy from Maryland was raving about, he just called me up and he said, wow, I just wanted to tell you, we found your S5 part. And at that time he was involved with a solar installation on one of the Olympic buildings for the Atlanta Olympics, which I believe was in '96. And they put a large system, mounted it on one of those new buildings, a large solar system mounted with S5. And he said, I just wanted to tell you how great that works. He said, this is absolutely the best thing since pockets on shirts or something like that. He said, this is a no-brainer. He said, your clamp with a zip rib, in that case it was a Merchant Nevin zip rib roof. He said, your clamp with a zip rib roof, he said, that is the ultimate for mounting solar. This is great. And we get calls like that all the time, from solar integrators and solar manufacturers who just rave about how well our product is suited to mounting solar on metal roofs. And not only that, but how well a metal roof itself is suited to a solar installation. The solar equation, John, is such that a solar system, a crystalline solar system, will have an expected service life of somewhere between 30 and 40 years. So what kind of sense does it make to mount solar on a traditional membrane roof that's going to have to be replaced every 12 to 20 years? You have a solar array that lasts 30 or 40, and a roof that lasts 12 or 15 or at the most 20. Well, in our case, we're mounting to rooftops that will outlive the solar. To mount solar to a membrane roof is it's a little, when you understand the value of solar, it's worth 5 or 10 times what the roof is worth, okay? These are expensive systems. So to put solar on a membrane or asphaltic roof is a little like putting a Ferrari engine on a Volkswagen frame, who would do that? But the marketplace in general is not educated enough. They're finding out now, and they're going to find out more and more as time goes on, that metal is the perfect mounting platform for solar because it actually will outlive the solar. In addition to that, S5 enables those attachments without any violation to the roof warranties, without any penetration of the roof whatsoever. And coming back to a point I made in a previous question, it's actually cheaper to install solar on a metal roof than on any other roof type, bar none. And it's so much cheaper in many cases that it will actually pay for the roof. In other words, solar integrators are saving enough money by mounting to metal that in many cases it's economically justified to tear whatever kind of roof off that's on a building, replace it with a metal roof, and then put solar on it. It actually saves enough money in some cases to make that economically viable. It's almost like getting a free roof, and you're getting the best roof in the industry.